Alright folks, 2021 is finished, and with it, we enter a new year. It is time to rank the top 10 films I am most anticipating in 2022. What's that you said? You know number one? How could you possibly know number one? What do you... Let's get into it. Alright folks, this is a top 10 list of course, but when I went to do the first draft of this list, I didn't want to do any films that didn't have a solid release date, just because, they could be 2023. We live in a tumultuous time with COVID, so, for many that's likely even the case. But then I looked at it and it was just kind of depressing. It was really all blockbusters. But there were a few from that list that I still do believe deserve to get mentioned, so I'm just going to cover some honorable mentions real quick before we start. Alright folks, I got 6 honorable mentions for you. We're going to kick it off with Taika Waititi's next film, Next Goal Wins. I've been waiting on this one for a while. We all have been waiting on this one for a while. Taika Waititi, you can't really go wrong, man. He's hilarious. The premise sounds inherently funny. It's got Michael Fassbender, and as a hint, this is not the first time he will be showing up on this list. But I'm just incredibly excited for this seemingly funny sports movie. At worst, it's a conventional sports film with Taika Waititi jokes? Come on. This is going to be great. We all know it. Next honorable mention I got for you all is actually going to be The Flash. The rumors have just come out recently, whether you believe them or not. I think it's important to look at the film by itself, and I think it will be a fun, multiversal film. It's got precedence in the comics as I understand it. The premise sounds quite interesting. What if Flash messes with time? And then you bring back greats like Michael Keaton. I'm not even that attached to Michael Keaton's Batman, but just bringing back this titan of the Batman world is interesting inherently. I'm not the biggest fan of Flash himself, but I just appreciate the scale that they're going for. Next honorable mention, and one that unfortunately just didn't make the list, is actually going to be The Fabelmans, Spielberg's next film. And the real kicker here is that the cast doesn't jump out to me to be particularly special, but the main thing is that I'm not the biggest fan of coming-of-age films, and while I love Spielberg, I think he will create something incredible here that a lot of people will enjoy. It's just not my kind of thing, seemingly, because it's telling the story of his early life, whatever. I'll be there day one, and I don't want to sound like I'm not hyped. I'm certainly hyped, but it's just not enough to crack the top 10, despite him being my favorite director and coming off of one of my favorite of his films, West Side Story. Next honorable mention, folks, don't hate me, because I know this is a lot of people's number one, if not number one, then top 3, but Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I'm hyped for the scope. I think it will be incredible, fun to watch. But Doctor Strange is not one of my... he's a great character. He is one of my favorite in the MCU. But his film was super lackluster. His first film. I do think this will be better. I think the potential is there. I do think it is possible that it, sort of loses itself in the scope. And that's a potential scare for me. I can't say I'm overly hyped for it. It didn't crack the top 10, but I am still quite excited. Next honorable mention, another one. You guys are going to have to see this top 10 because it's just shocking that this one missed. But Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Part 1. I liked the first film quite a bit. I originally, after I watched it, I thought it was quite overrated. And then I watched it again recently in the lead up to No Way Home. And I was just, kind of, the more it sat with me, the more I liked it. But I'm not sure how much sequel potential is there necessarily. I think it explored a lot of the things it needed to in the first one. I could be proven wrong. I'm excited to see it, the comedy there, but I definitely think this one also has potential to just go wrong. And then the final film that just didn't crack the top 10 but deserves a mention is Bullet Train, which is an action film, sort of in the John Wick vein kind of style. The title alone should be enough to captivate you. It stars Brad Pitt. It's directed again by the guy who did John Wick. This film is going to be just such a blast to watch. What more could you want? Alright folks, but now that the honorable mentions are out of the way, let's get into the list. Coming in at number 10 is going to be The Son. The Son, you say? That sounds awfully similar to The Father, Well, it is, because it's the same director and it's sort of a spiritual successor. It's, of course, not a sequel. This one does have Anthony Hopkins, too, though. But it's a Florian Zeller film exploring a different subject with quite the cast. Laura Dern is in this one. Anthony Hopkins, who else? Give me a sec. Hugh Jackman is in it. I thought he was in it. I didn't want to say it outright, though. Vanessa Kirby. These are stars that I love. And I mean, it's, Florian Zeller excellently directed The Father, and if this is even anything close, then it's cracking the top 10 at the end of the year. Folks, coming in at number 9, in what, sort of appears to be a bit of a lackluster year, unfortunately, for the MCU, because this is its highest film entry. It's going to be Thor: Love and Thunder. This one ekes out Doctor Strange just because Thor Ragnarok was really great, and this seems to be continuing the Thor sort of separate franchise in and of itself down that same path. And it's also got the Guardians of the Galaxy. So Taika Waititi again leading Thor into another funny film. I'm pumped. It's not going to be bad. It won't be bad. Coming in at number 8 is going to be Knives Out 2, the follow-up to, of course, the original, which is just such a great, fun whodunit. I mean, just so fun is really the way to describe it. They're so energetic, so lively, and the stakes seem to be somewhat up tier. Where Rian Johnson is returning to write with another excellent cast, with Daniel Craig in the lead again, a large cast of celebrities, and the mystery continues. I'm excited. Coming in at number 7, folks, I told you to watch out for Michael Fassbender again, because he is in The Killer, which is David Fincher's next film. Boy, I'm pumped for this one. Apparently it's about, an assassin's psyche being explored, again played by Michael Fassbender, who is just such a brilliant actor. And David Fincher, who is a director, in my opinion, with the exception of one film, which was his feature film, which was his debut film, with a lot of studio meddling, so is it even really his fault? Alien 3 is, in my opinion, David Fincher's only bad film, meaning this guy's got basically no misses, and he's been going for, 20 plus years now. So The Killer seems to be another excellent film in his lineup. The only reason it's not higher is just because, I don't know too much yet. I assume this film will be incredible. Coming in at number 6, folks, is going to be The Gray Man, which is a Russo brothers directed, seemingly political thriller, sort of spy thing going on, with Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, and Ana de Armas in the lead. I love those 3 people. The Russo brothers have proven themselves to be very capable when it comes to this kind of film. So pretty said and done, folks. It's a Netflix film with a very high budget. It seems they just gave them full control. I'm incredibly excited for this. I really, really am. But, folks, we get into the top 5, and this is just some of the best that 2022 has to offer. Starting with number 5 is going to be Mission Impossible 7, a film we've been waiting on for a while. The Mission Impossible franchise is one of my favorites. If you can't tell, I'm a sucker for the spy stuff. Tom Cruise is returning, obviously, in the lead role, with Christopher McQuarrie back to direct. And it seems, again, that they're just upping the stakes, upping the story. Will it be the best entry in the franchise? Who's to say? But even if it's not, I'm sure it will be yet another solid look at the life of Ethan Hunt and his many, many crazy escapades. Folks, coming in at number 4, it really pains me to put this one this low, but I did have to move it. It started out as number 2 when I did the first draft, but it's going to be Damien Chazelle's Babylon. And I adore Damien Chazelle. I've seen only 2 of his 3, feature-length films, and that would be Whiplash and La La Land. La La Land is one of my favorite films of all time, an absolute S tier. Whiplash is just as good, absolutely incredible. This is a man who knows how to make a film. And Babylon is about old Hollywood, a time period which I'm just very enamored with. And then just look at the cast. Again, you got Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Tobey Maguire is in this. I don't even love him, but I mean, come on, that's kind of cool. The guy's been absent except for a notable recent film, but for years. Babylon looks to be very exciting. Folks, coming in at number 3, you can't see it here, but look up there, Toy Story 3. Toy Story films are one of my absolute favorite franchises. It's going to be Lightyear. I am so incredibly excited to see how they continue the Toy Story franchise without giving us just more endless sequels about the toys. this looks like a really unique, inventive way, and it looks like they're taking it pretty seriously. There's some amazing shots in the trailer, and it looks just to be a fun space adventure. And it's Pixar, folks. You can't go wrong with Pixar most of the time. I'm so looking forward to this film. I mean, in any normal year, this could honestly be number one. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. But there are just 2 films that edge it out. And folks, number 2 is going to be Killers of the Flower Moon, which is Martin Scorsese's next film. A director who is honestly one of the best of all time. He has more amazing films I can think of than any director. In the sense that more films that I would just consider perfect, that I would give an S tier, I think, than any other director. Maybe he's tied with Spielberg. I don't want to speak without knowing certainly. But even without Scorsese, this is just such a captivating idea. You know, it's about FBI agents exploring a string of murders on a Native American reservation. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and Jesse Plemons, 3 incredible actors that I love. I'm so excited we get to see this DiCaprio-De Niro team up, directed by Scorsese. This is better than The Irishman when they brought Pesci, Pacino, and De Niro together. This is a crazy combo that will just produce some of the finest cinema that could be put to screen this year. But folks, there is one film. There is one film that is my number 1 most hyped of the year. You know what it is. Folks, coming in at number 1 has to be The Batman, because this is not only my most hyped film of 2022, this is my most hyped film ever, because I love Batman as a character. He is my favorite fictional character of all time. The marketing has been outrageously good. Each trailer better than the last. Okay, the characters they are exploring here. Riddler finally gets a movie. We finally get a detective Batman. We're jumping right into year 2, so we don't need an origin story. Robert Pattinson looks to be playing the character incredibly. I think we're about to get the best Batman. I think we're about to get the best Batman story. Penguin, played by Colin Farrell, looks to be super fun. Catwoman, played by Zoe Kravitz. Again, what an excellent addition. We're building a universe here, a Gotham that can actually feel like Gotham, a Batman that can actually feel like Batman, that can be brutal and brooding and lonely. We have an Alfred, played by Andy Serkis. I cannot express to you. I could go on for hours about how excited I am to see the Batman. Again, this is my most hyped film of all time, not to mention most hyped film of 2022. I'm going to go on the record and suggest this will be my favorite comic book film of all time. Yes, that means beating you out, buddy. But I hope I'm not wrong. You know, it could be the hype just speaking. But God, I am so excited for this film. What can I say? The Batman, number 1. Always and forever. All right, folks, that is my list, my top 10 most anticipated films of 2022. Let me know your top 10 list. Does it include The Batman? It better, or else get out of my channel. Just kidding, you don't have to, because we all have different film tastes. But, you know, it probably should include The Batman because it looks incredible. But, folks, I have been EDPC Reviews. You have been amazing, just the absolute best, and I will see you next video. Bye-bye.